On September 9, 1971, the uprising begins inside Attica Correctional Facility in western New York. The prison holds more than 2,200 men. Most are black or Latino. Almost all guards are white. Conditions are rigid and overcrowded. Medical care is limited. Wages for prison labor are measured in cents per day. Showers are infrequent. Mail is censored. Religious freedom is restricted. Complaints have circulated for years without resolution. Tension escalates after a series of confrontations between incarcerated men and staff. On the morning of September 9th, prisoners overpower guards and take control of the yard. More than 40 staff members and civilian employees are taken hostage. The uprising is not spontaneous chaos. It quickly forms leadership and demands. Prisoners issue a manifesto. They call for basic human rights. They ask for medical treatment, religious freedom, fair wages, and an end to brutality. They request amnesty for actions taken during the uprising. Negotiations begin the same day. State officials arrive. Observers are invited inside the yard. These include journalists, lawyers, legislators, and civil rights figures. The scene is tense but organized. Prisoners maintain order. Hostages remain alive. Several are injured from the initial takeover. They receive medical attention from prisoner medics. Observers later confirm that hostages are protected. If stories like this matter to you, consider subscribing, because what happens next reveals how this system truly works. For 4 days, negotiations continue. Prisoners insist on outside oversight and written guarantees. The state refuses amnesty. Governor Nelson Rockefeller does not come to Attica. He remains in Albany. His advisors urge a show of force. Law enforcement agencies prepare a retaking plan. State police, correction officers, and local law enforcement assemble. They bring rifles, shotguns, pistols, and tear gas. Helicopters are readied. On the morning of September 13th, state officials announce that negotiations have failed. Prisoners are given minutes to surrender. There is no agreement. At 9:46 a.m., helicopters drop tear gas into the yard. Visibility collapses. Almost immediately, law enforcement opens fire. Hundreds of rounds are discharged in less than 15 minutes. Gunfire comes from catwalks, towers, and the ground. Prisoners and hostages are hit. When the shooting stops, the yard is littered with bodies. 39 people are dead. 29 incarcerated men are killed during the retaking. 10 hostages are dead. Many others are wounded. Some are critically injured. The dead include people shot at close range. Medical response is delayed. Survivors later report beatings and abuse after the yard is secured. Within hours, state officials move to control the story. Initial press briefings assert that prisoners killed hostages by slitting their throats. Graphic descriptions are given. Officials claim mutilation. The narrative spreads quickly through newspapers, television, and radio. It becomes the dominant explanation. The use of force is framed as necessary and justified. This claim is false. Autopsies conducted by the Monroe County Medical Examiner later show that all hostages die from gunshot wounds. None die from throat cutting. None die from knives or blunt force. The bullets are consistent with law enforcement weapons. The findings contradict official statements. Despite this, the false story continues to circulate. The medical examiner, Dr. John Edland, completes autopsy reports that clearly state causes of death. These reports are not immediately made public. State officials do not correct the record. Some reports are altered in summaries. Language is softened or obscured. The emphasis remains on alleged prisoner violence rather than police gunfire. Families of the dead are informed using the official narrative. Many are told their loved ones were murdered by inmates. They grieve under a lie. Some do not learn the truth for years. Requests for records are delayed or denied. Information is fragmented. Confusion persists. At the prison, survivors are subjected to harsh retaliation. Incarcerated men are forced to strip. They are beaten. They are made to crawl through mud and broken glass. Racial slurs are reported. Medical care is withheld. Witnesses later testify to systematic abuse. Investigations into these actions stall. An immediate internal investigation is launched, but it is controlled by the same state apparatus responsible for the retaking. The scope is limited. Focus shifts to prisoner actions during the uprising. Charges are prepared against dozens of incarcerated men. Prosecutors pursue indictments. Law enforcement conduct is largely excluded. A special grand jury is convened in Wyoming County. Its proceedings are secret. Evidence of police gunfire is downplayed. Testimony from prisoners is restricted. Guards and troopers are granted immunity. The grand jury returns indictments against prisoners. No state officials are charged. Meanwhile, the media narrative begins to crack. Journalists obtain copies of autopsy reports. Some publish corrections. Civil rights groups demand accountability. Independent observers speak out. Still, the state does not issue a full retraction. The initial lie lingers in public memory. The cover-up is not a single act. It is a pattern. Evidence is scattered across agencies. Ballistics data is withheld. Photographs are classified. Medical findings are slow-walked. Officials coordinate messaging. The goal is consistent. Shield law enforcement. Protect political leadership. Avoid precedent. Governor Rockefeller defends the decision to retake the prison by force. He does not publicly acknowledge the false claims about slit throats. His administration maintains that responsibility lies with the prisoners. The distinction between who fired the shots and who created the crisis is blurred. For survivors, the consequences are immediate and lasting. Many face new criminal charges. Sentences are extended. Parole is denied. Those who speak to investigators or journalists face isolation. Transfers occur. Records note disciplinary issues. Silence is enforced through power. The families of prisoners killed in the retaking also seek answers. They encounter the same barriers. Death certificates list causes that obscure responsibility. Legal avenues are expensive and slow. Grief is compounded by uncertainty. In the mid-1970s, pressure builds. Civil lawsuits are filed. Former prisoners, families, and hostages pursue claims against the state. Discovery forces the release of documents. Depositions reveal inconsistencies. The scope of gunfire becomes clearer. The narrative continues to unravel. One of the most damaging revelations is the sheer volume of ammunition used. Troopers fire indiscriminately into a crowded yard filled with hostages. No warning shots are documented. Command and control is chaotic. The use of lethal force is overwhelming. Despite mounting evidence, criminal accountability remains elusive. Prosecutors argue that identifying individual shooters is impossible. Records are incomplete. Weapons are not traced effectively. The structure of the operation disperses responsibility. In 1976, the New York State Special Commission on Attica issues a report. It acknowledges that hostages are killed by police gunfire. It criticizes the planning and execution of the retaking. It documents abuse of prisoners afterward. The report confirms what survivors have said for years. Even then, consequences are limited. No high-ranking officials are prosecuted. Policy changes are discussed but unevenly implemented. The state offers settlements without admissions of wrongdoing. Money replaces justice. In 1976, Governor Hugh Carey issues a blanket pardon to all prisoners charged in connection with the uprising. He cites the impossibility of fair prosecution given the state's own misconduct. The move ends criminal cases against inmates. It does not address state violence. Civil cases continue into the 1990s. They move slowly through federal courts. Plaintiffs age. Some die before resolution. The state resists disclosure at every step. Appeals delay outcomes. The cost of persistence is high. In 2000, after decades of litigation, New York State agrees to a settlement of $12 million for former prisoners and families of those killed. The settlement includes no admission of liability. It closes many cases. It does not bring prosecutions. In 2005, the state pays $12 million to surviving hostages and families of deceased hostages. Again, there is no admission of wrongdoing. The payments acknowledge harm without accountability. Throughout this period, the original false claim about slit throats remains embedded in public discourse. Textbooks repeat it. Commentators reference it. Corrections are often partial. The damage of the initial lie proves durable. The Attica cover-up reveals how narratives are constructed in moments of crisis. Early statements carry weight. Repetition hardens them into fact. Corrections arrive too late to fully dislodge the first impression. Power determines which version survives. It also exposes structural protections for state actors. Investigations are internal. Prosecutors work alongside police. Political leaders oversee the agencies under scrutiny. Conflict of interest is inherent. Accountability is optional. Medical evidence plays a central role in breaking the cover-up. Autopsies do not lie. Ballistics do not lie. Documents persist. Time favors the record over rhetoric. Still, without transparency, truth is delayed. The experience of Attica shapes prison policy debates nationwide. It becomes a symbol of resistance and repression. For some, it represents prisoner demands for dignity. For others, it is framed as a warning about disorder. The framing depends on who speaks. What is often lost is the simple sequence of facts. Hostages are alive before the retaking. They are dead afterward. They die from bullets fired by the state. Officials say otherwise. The record proves them wrong. The aftermath shows how difficult it is to correct a falsehood once it serves institutional interests. Admitting error invites liability. It challenges authority. It threatens careers. The incentive is to deny and delay. Attica also demonstrates the vulnerability of marginalized voices. Prisoners have limited credibility in public forums. Their testimony is discounted. When they allege abuse, they are accused of manipulation. It takes outside verification to be heard. Over time, historians, journalists, and courts reconstruct the truth. The process is slow. It relies on persistence. It depends on access to records. It is never complete. Today, Attica is remembered as one of the deadliest prison events in American history. The uprising and the retaking are inseparable. So is the cover-up that follows. The violence does not end with the gunfire. It continues in the suppression of truth. The lesson is not abstract. It is concrete. When the state controls the narrative, facts can be buried. When accountability mechanisms fail, lies can stand for decades. Justice becomes a matter of endurance rather than principle. Attica shows that the aftermath of violence can be as consequential as the violence itself. Decisions made in the hours after determine public memory. They shape law. They define who is blamed and who is protected. The men who died cannot be restored. The families cannot reclaim lost time. What remains is the record and the responsibility to confront it honestly. The truth of Attica is not hidden anymore. It was forced into the open by those who refused to accept silence. If you think this story was intense, the next one will leave you speechless. Subscribe for more true crime stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.